Hey, welcome back to the channel. Okay, I bought a new motorcycle, so I sold my Honda Rebel 500 and I got the Indian Scout Bobber. And I wanted a little bit more noise, so I went and bought this exhaust, the Freedom Performance exhaust, a 2-into-1. It sounds pretty good, but I'll put a link into the bio on where I bought it from. But let's get started. Okay, so on the back of exhaust, as you can see, that first it's like two bolts back there. It's two 13 millimeter bolts that you have to remove. That's not really hard to do. You could use like an angle wrench, socket, whatever, just to get it out. But you could see I used a wrench to get it off. So this part now I'm loosening the muffler clamps. Um, there's gonna be two. So use like a 15 millimeter socket or a wrench to loosen both clamps, holding a muffler header assembly. This is not pretty hard right here. Pretty simple. So this is a 12 millimeter. You can loosen this up. This is what hold like the two exhausts like in the back. So just loosen that up, and now you got to pretty much try to pull on the muffler off. It's a real pain to pull this off. So try to use like some WD-40, use something, because this is like one of the hardest parts to that I came across. But it came off, but it took a lot of wiggling and shaking and stuff like that. I took a break, came back to it, sprayed a little bit, did the same thing over again. But it was pretty hard to take this off. It was really on there. Okay, so now you're gonna be taking off the oxygen sensor. So use a 14 millimeter wrench to remove the sensor from the header pipe. And I just use adjustable wrench. It doesn't matter. Just use anything. Take it off. This part is not really hard. Just be careful as you're taking off your oxygen sensor, because as you're twisting it, the wire is actually twisting too. So you don't want to twist it too much to where it rips your wire out and stuff like that. Then you'll have other problems, and but just try not to like twist it to where your wire actually rip off. Just take your time and just try to get it off. I just took my time with this, just to take it off. But you're just trying to rip the wire, your oxygen sensor wire that's connected to there. All right, so take a 10 millimeter socket, or you can use a wrench too, and just remove the two screws that hold the radiator cover on, and then just pull it off. It's also gonna be another 10 millimeter bolt on the other side, so just screw it off on both sides. Here's the other side, 10 millimeter socket. Just loosen up the second side, the other side, and it should be um some screws that you got to unloosen at the bottom of the radiator cover, and yeah, it just pops right out. Okay, so use an 8 millimeter hex key wrench to remove both right and left forward controls, and just let them hang, put them to the side, whatever, like that. But yeah, once you unscrew that, it's gonna come loose, and just set it to the side. So don't forget the one that's inside the like the peg bracket. I just use like the short end of the Allen key to kind of like break it loose, and then use like the other end to like unscrew it. So yeah, after you unscrew it, just lay it to the side, and just work on the left side now. It's the same thing. Just get the bolt out of that foot peg bracket. Just do the same exact thing. Just don't forget that bolt that's inside that bracket right there. Just loosen it up. and just do the same thing as you did to the right side. Okay, this is a 10 millimeter. Just use a 10 millimeter socket to remove the two screws holding the radiator bracket located on each side, and then you could just like pull the radiator bracket down. You're just gonna pull the oxygen sensor apart, and then right here you're gonna be removing the rear flange nuts holding the rear header using a 13 millimeter socket or wrench. I use like a real small ratchet to get inside there, but you could use like an angle socket too to try to get in there. It just depends what tools you have, but yeah, just try to get in there and just loosen them up. Loosen it on this side too, because what you're doing is once you loosen everything, you kind of got to take it out at an angle because it's like so tight inside there. So you got to like take it out at an angle. So yeah, just take the two nuts out of both of the just both the sides. Really, just the side with the radiator. Just do that side, and then what you're gonna be doing right here is you're gonna be using a 13 millimeter socket to take off this right here. This is like the other side towards like the bottom. Take that off now, and then after you loosen that, use the a 13 millimeter again, and to loosen this part right here. It's like the middle part. It's gonna hold that piece up. Now you can loosen the other side of the headers. Now loosen the other side. This side was kind of tight, so I use like a wrench. It's you kind of play with the tools a little bit. You gotta use like a wrench. You gotta use like an angle socket, a regular socket, a small ratchet. It just depends on what tools you have, but it's really not that much room to like unscrew it. So when it's all loose, just pop them out. You're gonna have to wiggle a little bit. I didn't show you guys all that, but you have to wiggle a little bit just to make it come out. So all right. So from right here, what I'm doing now, I'm removing that bracket that was holding like the whole exhaust up. Yeah, it's gonna be two 8 millimeter hex keys screws there at the bottom. Just loosen them up, and then there's like that real big bolt right there you see on the top. That's a 24 millimeter. So yeah, after you loosen the two little hex, just loosen that real big bolt, and then excuse me. After you do that, that whole thing is gonna come down, and you don't need that because that's just what hold the exhaust. So you don't need that, and it also saves weight anyway. So that thing is heavy. So yeah, just take that off, unscrew it, put it to the side. You're not gonna need it at all unless you're gonna use it for the stock exhaust or whatever like that. So okay, so there's like J looking pipe right here. You're gonna screw your oxygen sensor into that piece right there, and you're gonna be using your old stock nuts that you took off off your flange. You're gonna be using that, and just install, but just do not tighten the bolts that much. Just put it on there, just like you could just screw it with your hand, whatever, but just make sure it's just not tight. You don't need to tighten it at this time. So attach the mounting brackets using a 8 millimeter hex wrench. Use two stock screws previously removed, as well as a spacer that it came with. You're gonna be putting that on there. This is what's gonna be holding the rear end of the exhaust up. You're gonna be taking the whole assembly now, the whole muffler assembly, and you're gonna be putting the whole thing inside. Um, just try to line it up. This part was kind of difficult for me. I had to wiggle it a lot, up and down and stuff like that. But um, it'll get in there though. You just try to wiggle it inside there. Just don't tighten anything though. Keep all your bolts, nuts, and all that loose. until the end. And this right here, this is that mountain plate that I was talking about before. You got to pretty much align that inside there. You see what I'm talking about? You got to align it inside there. And at first I didn't really know which side supposed to go on, but yeah, just once you line it inside there, just tighten it up. All right, so take your C clamps now, and you're gonna be sliding it through those little slots right there. Just slide it through right there, and you're gonna be putting it over your exhaust. So the instructions, the manual that they gave me, it says to put like some tape over it because you will be scratching your exhaust when you put it on. I mean, I know for me, I didn't really care because it's the heat shield is going over it, so you're not gonna really see it. But I know some people, they don't want any scratches on it, so you can just put like some tape over the area where you will be putting these clamps on for the heat shield, and just so nothing gets scratched or nothing like that. But yeah, but you know I didn't do none of that. I just put it on because I don't really care. It's you're not gonna see none of those scratches anyway. It's gonna be covered up. And what I did was, like, all the clamps that I put in there, I did it facing up way. So when if I'm ready to like take it off or whatever like that, then it'll be easier for me to like tighten. So just make sure it's facing up. So if you have to take it out and retighten or anything like that, and it'll be easy for you to do. Because after I drove around, when I drove around a few miles, all of these, not all of them, but some of these got kind of loose. So I had to just retighten them. Like the manual says after like 100 miles to like retighten. So yeah, you will be retightening these again. So just make sure they're facing up and visible, just so it'll be easier for you to get it tightened. So this is what I'm talking about too. You see how it's gonna get scratched? You see that little scratch right there? Yeah, it can scratch very, very easy. But once again, I don't really care about that. And you see these right here, I angled it down. It just so be easy for me to screw in. So some you gotta angle it up, some you gotta angle it down. Whichever is better, best for you, depending on what tools you have. Okay, so the spacers that it came with, and that real long bolt that it came with, you're gonna be putting that on the right side of your foot bracket. This is for the brake. So when you install this exhaust, um that exhaust is gonna be in the way. So you pretty much just want it to stick out a little bit more. So they gave you these little spacers that you could put on, and it kind of extends it out. So yeah, just put those spacers on and just screw them up. Make sure everything's nice and tight. Pretty much after you put everything on, just make sure everything is nice and snug. Make sure it's nice and tight. Don't forget to tighten this one right here too. Almost forgot to do that myself. But yeah, just at this point now, everything is all done. Just tighten everything up and just double check, triple check, make sure everything is tight. And then that's it. Just install everything back on, and you could just start it up. See how it sounds. Thanks for watching. I'm new to all this motorcycle stuff. Um, so if you want any more videos like this, like, subscribe, comment. Yeah, especially definitely comment. If you got anything you want to ask me in the comments or anything like that, or if I didn't show something in the video or anything like that, just let me know in the comments. You know what you think or whatever like that. If you have any questions, whatever like that. But yeah, really appreciate everybody watching. It took a long time to make this video, with all the editing and everything. So yeah, I really appreciate if you subscribe if you want to. But yeah, all right, cool.